Luke chapter 21. As Jesus looked up, he saw rich people putting their gifts into the temple offering boxes. He also saw a poor widow put in 2 very small copper coins. What I want to tell you is true, Jesus said. That poor widow has put in more than all the others. All these other people gave a lot because they're rich, but even though she's poor, she put in everything. She had nothing left to live on. Some of Jesus' disciples were talking about the temple. They spoke about how it was decorated with beautiful stones and with gifts that honor God. But Jesus asked, "Do you see all this? The time will come when not one stone will be left on top of another. Every stone will be thrown down." "Teacher," they asked, "when will these things happen? And what will be the sign that they are about to take place?" Jesus replied, "Keep watch. Be careful that you are not fooled. Many will come in my name. They will claim, 'I am he,' and they will say, 'The time is near.' Do not follow them. Do not be afraid when you hear about wars and about fighting against rulers. Those things must happen first, but the end will not come right away." Then Jesus said to them, "Nation will fight against nation. Kingdom will fight against kingdom. In many places there will be powerful earthquakes. People will go hungry. There will be terrible sicknesses. Things will happen that will make people afraid. There will be great and miraculous signs from heaven. But before all this, people will arrest you and treat you badly. They will hand you over to synagogues and put you in prison. You will be brought to kings and governors. All this will happen to you because of my name. And so you will be witnesses about me. But make up your mind not to worry ahead of time about how to stand up for yourselves. I will give you words of wisdom. None of your enemies will be able to withstand them or prove them wrong. Even your parents, brothers, sisters, relatives, and friends will hand you over to the authorities. The authorities will put some of you to death. Everyone will hate you because of me, but not a hair on your head will be harmed. Remain strong in the faith, and you will receive eternal life. A time is coming when you will see armies surround Jerusalem. Then you will know that it will soon be destroyed. Those who are in Judea should then escape to the mountains. Those in the city should get out. Those in the country should not enter the city. This is the time when God will punish Jerusalem. Everything will come true just as it has been written. How awful it will be in those days for pregnant women. How awful for nursing mothers. There will be terrible suffering in the land. There will be great anger against those people. Some will be killed by the sword. Others will be taken as prisoner to all the nations. Jerusalem will be taken over by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles come to an end. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. The nation of the earth will be in terrible pain. They will be puzzled by the roaring and tossing of the sea. Terror will make people faint. They will be worried about what is happening in the world. The sun, moon, and stars will be shaken from their places. At that time, people will see the Son of Man coming in a crowd. He will come with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, stand up, hold your head up with joy and hope. The time when you will be set free will be very close. Jesus told them a story. "Look at the fig tree and all the trees," he said. "When you see leaves appear on the branches, you know that summer is near. In the same way, when you see these things happening, you will know that God's kingdom is near." What I'm about to tell you is true. The people living now will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Be careful. If you're not, your heart will be loaded down with wasteful living, drunkenness, and the worries of life. Then the day of the Son of Man returns will close on you like a trap. It will happen suddenly. That day will come on every person who lives on the whole earth. Always keep watching. Pray that you will be able to escape all that is about to happen. Also, pray that you will not be judged guilty when the Son of Man comes. Each day, Jesus taught at the temple, and each evening he went to spend the night on the hill called the Mountain of Olives. All the people came to the temple early in the morning. They wanted to hear Jesus speak. Luke chapter 22. The feast of unleavened bread, called the Passover, was near. The chief priests and the teachers of the law were looking for a way to get rid of Jesus. They were afraid of the people. Then Satan entered Judas, who was called Iscariot. Judas was one of the 12 disciples. He went to the chief priests and the officers of the temple guard. He talked with them about how he could hand Jesus over to them. They were delighted and agreed to give him money. Judas accepted their offer. He watched for the right time to hand Jesus over to them. He wanted to do it when no crowd was around. Then the day of unleavened bread came. That was the time that Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. Jesus sent Peter and John on ahead. Go, he told them, prepare for us to eat the Passover meal. Where do you want us to prepare for it? They asked. Jesus replied, when you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house he enters. Then say to the owner of the house, the teacher asked, where is the guest room? Where can I eat the Passover meal with my disciples? He will show you a large upstairs room with furniture already in it. Prepare for us to eat there. Peter and John left. They found things just as Jesus had told them. So they prepared the Passover meal. When the hour came, Jesus and his apostles took their places at the table. He said to them, I have really looked forward to eating this Passover meal with you. I wanted to do this before I suffer. I tell you, I will not eat the Passover meal again until it is celebrated in God's kingdom. After Jesus took the cup, he gave thanks. He said, take this cup and share it among yourselves. I tell you, I will not drink wine with you again until God's kingdom comes. Then Jesus took bread. He gave thanks and broke it. He handed it to them and said, this is my body. It is given for you. Every time you eat it, do this in memory of me. In the same way, after the supper, he took the cup. He said, this cup is the new covenant in my blood. It is poured out for you. But someone here is going to hand me over to my enemies. His hand is with mine on the table. The Son of Man will go to his death, just as God has already decided. But how terrible it will be for the one who hands him over. The apostles began to ask one another about this. They wondered which one of them would do it. They also started to argue. They disagreed about which of them was sought to be the most important person. Jesus said to them, the kings of the Gentiles hold power over their people, and those who order them around call themselves protectors. But you must not be like that. Instead, the most important among you should be like the youngest. The one who rules should be like the one who serves. Who is more important? Is it the one at the table or the one who serves? Isn't it the one who is at the table? But I am among you as one who serves. You have stood by me during my troubles, and I give you a kingdom, just as my Father gave me a kingdom, that you will eat and drink at my table in my kingdom. And you will sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you disciples like wheat. But I have prayed for you, Simon. I pray that your faith will not fail. When you have turned back, help your brothers to be strong. But Simon replied, Lord, I am ready to go with you to prison and to death. Jesus answered, I tell you, Peter, you will say 3 times that you don't know me, and you will do it before the rooster crows today. Then Jesus asked the disciples, did you need anything when I sent you without a purse, bag, or sandals? Nothing, they answered. He said to them, but now if you have a purse, take it, and also take a bag. If you don't have a sword, sell your coat and buy one. It is written, he has counted among those who had committed crimes. I tell you, what that is written about me must come true. Yes, it is already coming true. The disciples said, see, Lord, here are 2 swords. 2 swords are enough, he replied. Jesus went out as usual to the Mount of Olives. His disciples followed him. When they reached the place, Jesus spoke, pray that you won't fall into sin when you are tempted. He said to them. Then he went a short distance away from them. Then he got down on his knees and prayed. He said, Father, if you are willing, take this cup of suffering away from me, but do what you want, not what I want. An angel from heaven appeared to Jesus and gave him a strength. Because he was very sad and troubled, he prayed even harder. His sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. After that, he got up from prayer and went back to the disciples. He found them sleeping. They were worn out because they were very sad. "Why are you sleeping?" he asked them. "Get up, pray that you won't fall into sin when you are tempted." While Jesus was still speaking, a crowd came up. The man named Judas was leading them. He was one of the 12 disciples. Judas approached Jesus to kiss him, but Jesus asked him, "Judas, are you handing over the Son of Man with a kiss?" Jesus' followers saw what was going to happen, so they said, "Lord, should we use our swords against them?" One of them struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Jesus answered, "Stop this." And he touched the man's ear and healed him. And then Jesus spoke to the chief priest, the officers of the temple guard, and the elders. They had all come for him. "I'm raising a band of armed men against you." He asked, "Do you have to come with the swords and clubs? Every day I was with you in the temple courtyard, and you didn't lay a hand on me. But this is your hour. This is when darkness rules." And then the men arrested Jesus and led him away. They took him into the high priest's house. Peter followed from far away. Some people there started a fire in the middle of the courtyard, and they sat down together. Peter sat down with them. A female servant saw him sitting there in the firelight. She looked closely at him. Then she said, "This man was with Jesus." But Peter said he had not been with him. "Woman, I don't know him," he said. A little later, someone else saw Peter. "You also are one of them," he said. "No," Peter replied, "I'm not." About an hour later, another person spoke up. "This fellow must have been with Jesus," he said. "He is from Galilee." Peter replied, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about." Just as he was speaking, the rooster crowed. The Lord turned and looked right at Peter. Then Peter remembered what the Lord had spoken to him. "The rooster will crow today," Jesus had said. "Before it does, you will say 3 times that you don't know me." Peter went outside. He broke down and cried. There were men guarding Jesus. They began laughing at him and beating him. They blindfolded him. They said, "Prophesy, who hit you?" They also said many other things to make fun of him. At dawn, the elders of the people met together. These included the chief priest and the teacher of the law. Jesus was led to them. "If you are the Messiah," they said, "tell us." Jesus answered, "If I tell you, you will not believe me, and if I ask you, you would not answer. But from now on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the mighty God." They all asked, "Are you the Son of the God then?" He replied, "You say that I am." Then they said, "Why do we need any more witnesses? We have heard it from his own lips."